From your reading, you've determined that many of Earth's environmental problems are directly related to human population growth. And to understand why human population has such an impact, we need to know what carrying capacity is. Carrying capacity is the number of people or individuals of a species that can be sustained indefinitely in a given space. It's going to depend on the types of resources that are available. So for us, that would be food, water, shelter, and if we try to support our way of living, especially in our more economically developed countries like the United States, then the carrying capacity is going to be a little bit higher. So some of the questions that we ask are, what is our carrying capacity? How many people can the Earth support? Well, we have to change our lifestyles as our population continues to grow. And looking at what are the impacts if our population exceeds our carrying capacity. So the first thing we need to look at is how many people there are currently on Earth. You've probably heard that we've reached 7 billion. We are currently at just above 7 billion. This number was from a few months ago. I believe that we are about at 7.18 billion people as of today. How many people can the Earth support? Can we support 7 billion? Well, we do have this many people living on Earth now, but the question is, how many can we support at a certain quality of life? Some argue that we have reached our carrying capacity because we are not living sustainably. We are degrading our resources, our land, our water. So some of the evidence, the water quality, the air quality, if we have these resources but there are toxins and pollutants to the point that we can't use them, then that cannot help increase our carrying capacity. We're also decreasing arable land. Arable means cultivatable, that you can plant food, it will grow, and that depends on climate, water available, and you can't just create arable land. So as our urban areas expand, as we are overgrazing and degrading what arable land that we have available, we're losing that ability to produce food. And as our population continues to grow, we actually need to either increase the productivity of the land that we have available or stop degrading what is left. Now, the impacts of population depend on what part of the world you are from. All the impacts are not equal. A citizen of the United States is not going to have the same impact on the environment as someone in a less economically developed country. So less developed or less economically developed countries make up most of the world's population, but they use fewer resources per person. They make up, almost 80%, 81% of the world's populations, but use a very small percentage of the resources. And in turn, they also produce a smaller percentage of pollution and waste. Whereas our more economically developed countries, a much smaller percentage of the world population, but the per capita or per person resource use is so much higher that we are using a much larger percentage of the world's resource, and in turn also producing more pollution and waste. If we look just at the United States, which is a more economically developed country, we make up 4.6% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's resources. So you can see it's very unbalanced. If we look at this map, in the light orange color are more economically developed countries. You see most of North America, so Canada, United States, Europe, the northern parts of Asia, and Australia. Are less economically developed countries, Central and South America, Africa, Southeast Asia. MEDCs, or more economically developed countries, they're usually highly industrialized. They have higher per capita GNPs. If we look at the US, Japan, and Germany, those three countries together account for over half of the world's economic output. So those are the countries that are using the more resources and also producing more waste. The less economically developed countries are going to have low to moderate industrialization and lower per capita gross national products. And as we saw from the map on the previous page, that's Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and parts of South America. Most of our population growth is coming from these less economically developed countries. So we are seeing more people. Now, you do have to keep in mind that the per capita resource use is less, but these are developing countries, so that per capita resource use is increasing. We keep mentioning the gross national product. Remember that that's all of the goods and services produced both within and outside of a country, and that is per year. If you hear the term per capita GNP or gross national product, per capita means per person. The ecological footprint refers to one person. What amount of land and water is necessary to produce the resources to support you. We can also find the ecological footprint of a city or country, county, etc. In class, we are going to calculate our personal ecological footprints. The U.S., on average, each person needs 9.7 hectares. India, 0.8. And you can see that difference once again comparing that more economically developed country to the less economically developed country. To get an idea of what a hectare is, it's about 2.5 acres. Okay, that wraps up today's notes. Make sure that you collect the information that you need. You'll probably need to ask your parents some of these questions to calculate our ecological footprints in class.